Hello and welcome to the Urbana Leader. I'm P.T. Thompson, the guest host. Today's show has a familiar face, but with a twist. Today's guest is Anthony Ehresmann, the producer of Urbana Leader. Welcome.
Thanks. It's nice to be on. I'm so glad you could do this for us too.
No problem. Typically you're on the other side of the interview process.
Yeah.
You're usually the host.
Yeah.
And but today you agreed to, be the interviewee.
Yeah.
Today
probably gonna regret that.
We all do.
Yeah.
The purpose of today's episode is to really kind of talk about the Urbana Leader,
Right.
How it got started, what it's about, what it does for the community, and kind of some of the things that you've done in the past with the Urbana Leader.
Okay.
So if you could go in, and tell us a little bit about the television program.
How it got started?
Yes.
I guess at the beginning, that's a good place as any to start. It actually started out with a conversation with the city's economic development planner, Melanie Kendrick. We were having a conversation and about different ways that you could promote the county other than branding, logos and that kind of stuff. And then I was having another conversation with another person, actually two other people. One was your father, Dale, who is a really good friend of mine and a very smart guy. And my best friend, my partner in crime, Matt Logis. And I was trying to find something that was where a resource was being underutilized. Right. I mean, it was being used, but it wasn't being used to all of its capacity. And the city has two channels, Channel 5 and Channel 13, which is public, educational, and governmental TV, available to them. And it suddenly dawned on me that I probably have forgotten this, but even when I was a consultant, that was one of the first things I did, and I suggested the companies that I work for do, was to do some investigation, find out what they're doing, and that was one of the things that we actually looked at, was what was their public access like. Right. That was one of the things. You get to know a community, you get to see what a community is about, how much a community is involved with one another when you look at their public access. Well, in Urbana, we have typically, it was just like these little, I don't know, for lack of a better term, like little PowerPoint posters that they would play country music to, and city council meetings. And at some point in time, they didn't even have those, and luckily they've come back. But still, that's a lot of wasted airspace. Right. That we could be promoting Champaign County and more specifically Urbana, which is the county seat. So I started putting it together, got some titles and some credits and music together, and I thought, hey, I think we're onto something. And then we went out and did a test show, which was our first show, which was Relay for Life. Okay. And it was one of the most watched shows. Even today, it's one of the most watched shows. People go back and look at it again. So, and that's how I actually got started. Was just from sitting around brainstorming with friends, basically.
How do you choose your topic of interest when coming up with different shows? I
don't really have to think about that. To tell you the truth, people who see the program usually come to me and say, I have a really good idea for a show. Why don't you do something about the Red Cross or emergency services or services for the elderly or something like that? And then we'll make a few phone calls and get in touch with the people that we need to talk to concerning a particular subject. And to this date, everybody has been very cooperative and, in fact, almost enthusiastic about, hey, that's a great idea. Why don't we do a show about that? That's a good thing. So lucky for me, I don't have to really, twist my brain as far as coming up with topics. And people we encourage people to always send us emails, visit the blog and make comments on the show's website. which is a blog, and you can comment on the shows. So that's another way that we get a lot of input on what programs that we're going to have in the future.
Could you give me some more specific examples of community-based shows that you've done in the past?
Wow, almost all of them are really. There's Relay for Life, which was our first show and our anniversary show, and we're going to continue to have that as our anniversary show. We'll do that every year, which is also one of my favorite shows. And we just added Paws, Champaign County Animal Shelter out on 36, and we've added a segment to them for them to promote their adoptable pets and to help them get the funds that they need to operate. It's a needed resource in the community. A city councilman actually suggested that we have the Red Cross on, so we had the Red Cross on. You know, we made it. We gave everybody an opportunity who ran for office in I forget what year it was. 2000. It was 2008. And told them, hey, you know, if you want to introduce yourself to the public, then we'll have that. So that was another thing that we did as far as community-based programming. We've had The Next of Kin, which was one of my another favorite program of mine, and it almost made me cry, really. It was a local resident helped get a bill passed, the Money Burge Act. So that was another program that we did, and the list is really, everything we do is geared towards the community. So I mean, we don't go outside of that. Very seldom do we do anything that's not community orientated. Well, the purpose of the original idea was, if we could have a show about what is the best things about Champaign County and Urbana, what would it be like? And it would be, I thought about, you know, it'd be a cross between a daytime talk show and Charlie Rose. You know, so that we could talk about some serious subjects in a fun way and still promote all the good things about Champaign County and the things that we're interested in. And it just kind of evolved out of that, and that kind of gets us to where we want to go. That's where, you know, if you're reading in the newspaper about a certain particular subject, then you're going to, I pick up the phone and I start calling around. You know, if it's about homelessness, then we want to talk to, you know, Jobs and Family Services and other groups like that. Right. If it's some other subject, we want to talk to them about that subject. So we try and get the organizations on the show so that we can promote what they do and make everybody aware of what they're doing. So it's nothing but community.
Right. You mentioned earlier that you have a blog. You know, people leave comments and they're open for comments.
It's www.urbanaleader.blogspot.com. We post all of our shows online, and so you can, if you don't get channel 1 or 5 or 13 in the, you know, depending upon what your service provider is, whether it's CT or Time Warner out here, you can still watch the show and go online, and we have them broken down into basically 10-minute segments, and you can leave your comments. We, you know, good, bad, indifferent. You can even rate them if you want. So yeah, it worked out pretty good, and we're actually, you'd be quite surprised how many people view us online.
I can imagine. Yeah. It seems like Urbana and Champaign County in general takes great pride in their history.
Absolutely.
And I mean, it's full of history. I mean, you drive into the town, it's just full of history. And so does that lead into, like, do you solicit suggestions?
Oh, yes. At the end of every show. At the end of every show. Please send your comments and your show ideas to our email address is urbanaleader@hotmail.com. And we don't get tons of mail. I mean, it's not like, you know, overflowing, maxed out inbox. But surprisingly enough, we get nothing but really good